Imagine this. You're walking down a bustling street not in New York or London but in ancient Pompeii. You see vendors selling fresh bread, hear children laughing, and feel the warm Italian sun, just as it was nearly 2,000 years ago. Or picture yourself wandering through the halls of the great Library of Alexandria, surrounded by scrolls containing knowledge lost to the ages. Sounds like science fiction, right? A movie plot? Well, what if I told you that with today's science, the tools to bring back entire lost civilizations are no longer just a fantasy? It's a mind-bending concept, and today we're going to dive deep into it. We're talking about revolutionary DNA techniques, unimaginable architectural feats, and the wild, ethical possibilities of resurrecting the past. The biggest question of all? Could humanity truly handle the return of the ancients? Let's start with the building blocks of any civilization: its people. For decades, the idea of bringing back extinct species, let alone ancient humans, was pure fantasy. But the field of paleogenomics is changing everything. Scientists are now able to extract and sequence ancient DNA or aDNA from remains that are thousands of years old. We've already sequenced the entire Neanderthal genome. This opens up a fascinating and frankly controversial possibility: de-extinction. Using technologies like CRISPR gene editing, theoretically, we could edit the DNA of a modern human embryo to match the genetic code of, say, an ancient Roman or an Egyptian from the time of the pharaohs. The idea isn't to create a perfect clone, but to resurrect the genetic blueprint of a person from a lost world. Now, before you picture a lab full of cavemen, the reality is far more complex. The DNA we recover is often fragmented and degraded. Filling in the gaps is a monumental challenge. And even if we could create a genetically ancient human, what would that even mean? A person is so much more than their genes. They are shaped by their culture, their environment, their language, and their experiences. A baby with ancient Roman DNA born today would be a modern human, raised in a world of smartphones and social media, not togas and gladiators. This raises a profound ethical dilemma. Would it be right to bring someone into existence who is genetically an outsider, a living museum exhibit? The psychological burden on such an individual would be immense. We're not just talking about science, we're talking about the responsibility for a human life. But let's expand our vision beyond just the people. What about the worlds they inhabited? Could we rebuild the lost cities? This is where modern technology truly gets exciting. Think about 3D printing on a massive scale. We have detailed archaeological records, writings from historians like Pliny the Younger describing Pompeii, and advanced ground-penetrating radar that can map entire buried cities without digging a single hole. Imagine feeding all of this data into an AI. It could generate precise architectural blueprints for every building, every temple, every home in a city like Babylon or Tenochtitlan. Then, fleets of autonomous construction drones and giant 3D printers, using locally sourced and recreated materials, could literally print the city back into existence, layer by layer. We could recreate the Hanging Gardens, not just as a ruin, but as a living, breathing botanical wonder, using genetically engineered plants that match ancient descriptions. The level of detail could be staggering. We could analyze pottery fragments to determine the exact chemical composition of the glaze and reproduce it perfectly. We could study ancient texts to understand their city planning, their water systems, their public spaces, and rebuild them with complete fidelity. The goal wouldn't be to make a theme park, but a fully functional, authentic recreation. Imagine walking through the Ishtar Gate of Babylon, its blue glazed bricks shimmering in the sun exactly as they did over 2,500 years ago. It would be the ultimate act of historical preservation, allowing us to experience the past in a way that books and museums never could. But again, the question arises: for whom are we building this? For tourists? For scholars? Or for the resurrected people we just discussed? A city without its original culture is just a beautiful, empty stage. This brings us to the most difficult part of the puzzle: resurrecting a culture. A culture is a living, breathing entity. Its language, religion, social norms, art, music, food, the invisible software that runs a society. How could we possibly bring that back? This is where AI could play another transformative role. By analyzing every piece of text, every carving, every artifact we have from a civilization, an advanced AI could begin to piece together the patterns of their language. It could learn the grammar, the syntax, and perhaps even the nuances of a lost tongue. We've already seen AI help decipher ancient scripts, so this isn't a huge leap. The AI could then act as a cultural tutor, teaching this reconstructed language to a new generation. And what about their beliefs and knowledge? We could feed the AI all the surviving philosophical texts, religious scriptures, and scientific observations from, say, ancient Greece. The AI could then simulate the minds of their greatest thinkers, creating interactive virtual avatars of Socrates, Plato, or Archimedes. You could literally ask a virtual Aristotle about his views on ethics, and it would answer based on a comprehensive understanding of all his known works. This resurrected knowledge could be invaluable. What medical secrets were held in the Library of Alexandria? What astronomical knowledge did the Mayans possess that we have yet to rediscover? By bringing back their knowledge, we might just find solutions to some of our own modern problems. But let's be realistic. This cultural resurrection would be an approximation, a best guess. We can't know the inside jokes, the slang, the subtle social cues that make a culture feel alive. Any resurrected culture would be a hybrid, a blend of ancient data and modern interpretation. And this leads to a dangerous path. Who gets to decide which version of the culture is the correct one? History is often written by the victors. Rebuilding a society based on incomplete and biased records could end up erasing the voices of minorities and marginalized groups from that civilization, creating a sanitized, idealized version of the past that never truly existed. It's a huge responsibility, and the potential for misuse, for creating historical propaganda, is very real. So let's put it all together. Imagine a pocket of the world, a designated zone, where we have done it. We've rebuilt a section of the Mayan city of Tikal in the jungles of Guatemala. The pyramids rise above the canopy, the plazas are filled with people, and the language spoken is a reconstructed form of classic Maya. The inhabitants are volunteers, historians, linguists, anthropologists, and perhaps even the descendants of the people we spoke of earlier, raised in an immersive cultural incubator. They live their lives according to the resurrected Mayan calendar, practice reconstructed rituals, and work to rediscover the lost arts and sciences of their ancestors. It would be the greatest social and scientific experiment in human history, a living laboratory of the past. Think of the incredible insights we could gain. We could observe firsthand how their social structures worked, how their political systems functioned, and how they adapted to their environment. It would be a chance to answer questions that have puzzled historians for centuries. But the ethical tightrope is terrifying. Are these people living a genuine life? Or are they performers in a grand, elaborate play? Do they have the freedom to evolve, to change, to create a new culture? Or are they bound to forever reenact the past? And what happens when the modern world inevitably intrudes? What happens when a resurrected Mayan teenager wants a smartphone or a pair of jeans? Can a resurrected civilization truly be kept separate? Or will it simply be absorbed and commercialized by our global culture? Ultimately, the power to resurrect the past forces us to confront who we are today. The desire to bring back these lost worlds stems from a sense of loss, a nostalgia for civilizations we see as grander, wiser, or more mysterious than our own. But in our quest to recreate them, we risk projecting our own ideals and biases onto them. Perhaps the greatest lesson these lost civilizations can teach us is not in their resurrection, but in their absence. Their ruins remind us that all civilizations are fragile, that our own time on this planet is not guaranteed. Instead of trying to raise the ghosts of the past, maybe our focus should be on learning from their mistakes and preserving the vibrant, diverse cultures that are still alive today, ensuring they don't become the lost civilizations of a future generation. The technology is coming, one way or another. The question we need to start asking ourselves now is not, can we do this, but should we? Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into one of the most incredible what-ifs of our time. It's a topic that blends history, science, and philosophy. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What lost civilization would you want to see brought back? And do you think it's a brilliant idea or a terrible mistake? If you enjoyed this exploration, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the future of humanity. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.